Hello, lovely friend. Sequoia here, your spiritual teacher, coach, and intuitive reader, back with another spiritual teaching for you today. And let me know if you're here. If you're here with me live, say live, and that everything's working, because I'm getting a little bit of a weird error message from Facebook. So let me know that you're with me. Now, if you're live, you can say live, and if you are watching the replay, you can say replay. Always come back and see who watched and look at your comments and respond to any questions and all of that. So today's video is the key to being a highly functioning empath slash highly sensitive person. Empath, highly sensitive person, kind of interchangeable, you know? If you know, you know. So before I get into the teaching today, if you know someone who could use this video, feel free to send it to them or tag them in the comments. You can share it to them on their page or in Messenger. If you have a friend who's an empath or a highly sensitive person and could use some support around that, then please share it, because I want to help as many people as I possibly can, and you can help me do that by sharing it out to your special people. Okay, so also I want to invite you to book a call with me. The link is above this video, and once it's over, it will be in the comments at the replay. So you can do that at any point during today's video. I make time in my schedule each week for calls for you. All right. So the key to being a highly functioning empath. Sometimes when I do these lives, I suddenly get all of these other ideas. I start getting downloads about what to talk about. And I'm just going to catalog that for later. Okay. So what I actually want to talk about today is I want to tell you this story about an experience I had just last week. So I was out celebrating a friend's birthday, and which was a lovely time and super fun, and I'm really glad that I was there. And at the end of the night, well, the end of the night for me, other people were still celebrating, but I go to bed early these days. I used to be such a night owl, but not anymore. Anyway, so I said goodnight and happy birthday and all that, and I walked out, and on the sidewalk, there were two very drunk ladies, and one of the ladies was just like laying on the ground on the sidewalk, pretty much passed out. And they clearly needed help. And so I asked, do you guys need help? And the lady who was not laying on the ground started talking about, I can't get Lyft or Uber on my phone to download. I don't know how to do it. It keeps messing up. And clearly also pretty incapacitated. Now, I don't have Lyft or Uber on my phone, so we were trying to figure out, my friend and I were trying to figure out the local taxi service, and then he went inside to our other friends who were still celebrating. They had Lyft and Uber. They came out and got these ladies set up with a ride home. Okay, so here's the key to that whole thing happening. In the past, as an empath myself, what I would have done internally was I would have, yes, offered to help, but then I would have like taken on all of that responsibility and emotion of those two ladies. So like I had this experience so much when I was a teenager, where if somebody like I would have started to have that feeling of being drunk, even though I wasn't at all. But in my past, in the past version of myself, that's what would have happened. And I would have, like, the lady who was able to talk kept saying, like, "Oh Lord, help me." And I wanted to be like, "Yeah, you're getting help right now. Your prayers are answered." That's a little aside. But I wouldn't have been as capable of actually offering help, of actually being there with them while this situation got sorted out, while my friend went inside, while the other friends sorted it out with the Uber and the Lyft. And the other thing that happened that I would not have done well in the past is once the friends who had Lyft on their phone were getting it arranged for these ladies to get the ride home that they needed, they said, like, "Hey, don't worry about it. You can go. It'll be fine. We got it under control." And in this instance, I was like, "Okay, are you sure?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And I left. In the past, there's no way I would have done that. I would have absolutely, like, stayed until every last moment, feeling, I would have had the feeling of ultra responsibility to take care of these ladies. And then not only that, I wouldn't have been able to let it go once it was figured out, arranged, resolved. I would have been, like, ruminating, like, letting that still be in my feeling and in my consciousness long after it had happened. So that feeling of worry and concern for them, also, like, that feeling of, like, taking on their feelings of being inebriated, or their feelings of, like, worrying about how to get home. How am I here? This one lady who was trying to help her friend who was laying on the ground, not being capable. Like, all of that would have been still churning up inside me. Okay? So I don't do those things anymore because I want to help people in a good way, and in a way that doesn't deplete and exhaust me. And when you're an empath, when you are naturally empathic, when you can feel everyone else's stuff, when you're very attuned to the energy around you and your surroundings influence you quite a lot, it's so easy to actually not help, to actually not do what is required in circumstances like that, because you're too busy being involved in the emotional state of everybody. You're too busy feeling what everybody else is feeling. You're too busy getting overwhelmed, oftentimes, by all of that, by, like, the downtown scene, by people needing assistance that feels urgent, etc., etc., etc. Okay, I don't do any of that anymore. And the way that I don't do that is through all of these energetic practices that I have put into place to keep my energy clear, right? So let me know if you've had that experience ever where, oh, you just took it all on. You felt all, the chaos of that moment. If you've been in a similar situation, or you felt other people's emotions and didn't know what to do with it, and it actually prevented you from taking good action, from knowing what the good action is to take. Or even if you did take the good action, but then later on you're still involved in it. You're, like, replaying it in your head and, like, did I do the right thing, and are they okay? And maybe I could have done more. Maybe I should have, like, ridden in the car with them, etc., etc., etc. If you've ever been in a place like that, maybe a similar circumstance, let me know in the comments if you've had that experience of taking it all on when what you really just wanted to do was help and get on with your life, right? Okay, so as you're writing that, again, I want to invite you to book a call with me. The link is above this video, and after the replay, once this live video is over during the replay, it will be below in the comments. What happens on this call is we get into exactly these type of things. How to keep your energy clear, how to be in your own self, completely 100% authentically you, even in situations that are that have been historically for you overwhelming, or where you felt compelled to take on other people's work. That's the right word, take on other people's work, right? We talk about that and we get into how to protect your own energy so that you can use, my hands are going crazy with this, because that's part of the energetic practices actually that I would teach you. I will give you a little one in this video. We get into how to use your natural talent as an empath, as an intuitive person, as a highly sensitive person, to use that in a good way for the good of you and for the good of humanity. And not in a way that leaves you exhausted, drained, depleted, worried, anxious, depressed, overwhelmed. Yeah? I was also just going to say literally what happens when you when you go click that link. You click the link, you go to my page where you find out more about how I work. You click the Apply to Work Together button. And you'll go through, you'll pick the time that's best for you in your schedule, and then you'll go through some questions that will allow us to get right to it on the call, right? I want to make the most of my time and of your time, and so you get those questions beforehand that allows us to get right into it so that I can serve you in the best possible way once we get on that call. All right. Like I said, sometimes I do these videos, and if you've seen my videos in the past, you know some of my spirit guides are these three ladies, and oh, there they are. There they really are. And they have many things to say, and they encourage me to share with you, and so sometimes their presence is really strong, and they give me a lot of messages all at once. So I can't do all the messages all the time at every moment, but I'm tracking that as they're giving them to me. So, but empath, being an empath is certainly one that I wasn't even planning actually to talk about empaths in this like video series that I've been doing if you've been following along. But the ladies asked me to use that word specifically. I do talk about this in all my videos in general, but use the word empath specifically. So that's from the ladies. So if you're here hearing that word and it's speaking to you, thanks to the ladies, the pink and the yellow and the blue ladies. All right. So I want to give you a little tip, a little key, this key into knowing how and when to use your empathic ability, your intuitive ability, your highly sensitive ability in a good way that is best for you. And when it's best for you, it's best for everyone else too. So the first thing you need to do, this first key that I want to give you, and it's really powerful. This is how I started doing it. This is what started to shift things for me in a big way. Like before I knew all the other stuff, this was the first thing I did. I want you to decide right now, as you're watching this video, because deciding now will set it right in you. Don't like waffle about it. I want you to decide right now when you're going to use it and when you're not going to use it. In an earlier video, I said empaths need to get good at saying no, and it is so important. And this is part of it. When you decide when you're going to use it and when you're not going to use it, that's saying no. And it's completely okay sometimes to say, hey, no, right now, like that's not the best use of my ability and my sensitivity. You get to decide when it's appropriate and when it isn't. You get to decide. You have a say in your spiritual experience in this life. It's not like, oh, the channel's open all the time for everything ever, just get overwhelmed. Because you don't want to end up in a space, this is what I've seen so often in my clients and also just in my friends who are empaths. Either it's open constantly and it's overwhelming and it's just a barrage of information and people end up depressed, tired, exhausted, overwhelmed, etc., etc., etc. from that. Or that's so much that just shut it down completely. And you don't want either of those. Neither of those is good for you, and neither of those lets you express your soul gifts in this world in service of humanity. That's the other thing. If you are an empath and a highly sensitive person, it's really likely that you feel you have a mission in this world to give. That there's something, that you're here on this earth for a purpose, to serve humanity in a specific way. And maybe you know what that is already and maybe you don't, but either way, starting to do this decision about, okay, here is when I use this and here is when I don't. That's like, yeah, doing that, making that decision, and then sticking with it. You have to like do the work to stick with it. You can ask for divine help with that. Will start to shift your life in a really powerful way. In a really powerful way. Yeah? You feel me? Let me know if you feel me. I love seeing your comments. They help me know that I am speaking in the right way to reach you. When you see me doing these little movements, sometimes you'll see me look away in the video and I'm not ignoring you, or if we're on a call together you might see me do that and I'm not ignoring you. That's me listening for spiritual guidance. Or when you see me close my eyes or do these little things, that's all spirit connection. All right, so checking in if there's anything else I need to say about the decision process. Okay, if you make, there is always something else when I listen. If you make this decision about when you're going to use it and when you're not going to use it, don't get caught up in the feeling of like, wait, if I say no to being super open and empathic and sensitive, then I'm not going to connect with people. It's actually the opposite. I promise you it's the opposite. And you won't, when you make a clear decision about yes here and no here, you actually are able to be more in tune, more powerfully present, more capable, more strong in moments when you really need to be. Okay? So don't get caught in the thinking of like, if I say no, like maybe you're like, you know what, at work I really don't want this to be happening. At work, I just want to be working. For example, don't trick your own self into thinking if you say no in one area that it will be unavailable to you in another. And because actually, and I speak from experience, it's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. All right. So, I invite you again to book a call with me, this intro call, to my Joyful Spirit Roadmap. And what this is one-on-one coaching with me, one-on-one teaching with me. My soul's mission is to teach, to be of service to you, to help you express your full gifts in this world, to help you be a conduit in the right way, in the good way, to serve humanity. When you get on this call with me, I take everything that I have, all my expertise as a teacher, as a coach, all of my spiritual experience, all of these energetic practices, and I bring this to you. You get the benefit of literally my lifetimes of experience, but let's just talk about this lifetime. So in this lifetime, my decades of experience, coaching people to their soul's mission. This is what I have been doing. This is what I help you to do, right? The people that are meant to work with me, The people who I know are watching and will get the most out of working one-on-one with me are the people who are ready to make change in their life. People, empaths, highly sensitive people who want to be that highly functioning, right? And maybe you're kind of faking it till you make it right now. Maybe from the outside everything looks really good, but inside you're exhausted and drained, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't have to be that way. And I am really good at helping you get out of your own way so that it's not like that anymore, right? Get out of your own way. Get out of the way of your soul's mission. Earthly self is so good at getting out of the, earthly self is so good at getting in the way, and we want to help them get out of the way, but not in a spiritual bypass way. This is something I'm very, very, very intent upon. Earthly self needs care. Earthly self needs attention, and I will bring it to you on this call. You can't just move it out of the way and discard it. That's spiritual bypass, and we won't do that. I will never ever do that. I won't let you do that. If we work one-on-one together, I won't let you do that. I keep you really accountable. So the Joyful Spirit Roadmap is 3 months of this one-on-one coaching with me, plus ongoing prayer work I do for you, plus altar work I do for you, and maybe there may be a soul healing journey in there depending on what you need and how things go. If you feel it, if you're ready to make the change, if you are ready to use all these abilities for your highest good, for the highest good of everybody, if you know you've been overwhelmed by other people's energy, other people's emotions, feeling responsible for everybody else, and you know that sensitivity you have is a deep gift and a blessing, but you're not using it in the right way right now, it is leaving you depleted, exhausted, drained, then go book that call with me. 100% I can help you with this. I can get you feeling peaceful, feeling easy, feeling like, I'm so happy to be on this earth experiencing this life, experiencing this kind of joy in my soul. It doesn't mean you won't ever feel sad. It doesn't mean you won't ever feel angry. But it does mean you'll be living in your authentic self, in your true purpose. And I can help you find out what that is if you're like, I kind of have an inkling, but I'm not so sure. All right. If that's you, if you know I'm speaking to you, go book the call. We will get into it. I can't wait to talk to you. And I'll see you again soon.